the documentary is when you allow men to determine for you what is right, what is wrong. You allow men to determine what is good and what is evil. When you allow men to determine for you how much your life is worth, how much any life is worth, you turn those things over to humans instead of vetting everything through this Bible. It never turns out well, ever. You want examples? What you'll see, the idolatrous Greeks, all those false gods, they had to erect the things, dig a hole, get a bunch of slaves, dump the thing in there. It's got a face on the top of it. This is this God. Right over there, they'd haul that over there. They'd dump that one in the ground. The only way the thing could ever move is you'd have to get up there with a bunch of more slaves, dig it up, and haul it off. You're like, and they bowed down to those things? You'll see the Apostle Paul's speech on Mars Hill. I delivered it, standing up on top of that hill, and when I looked down, among all those rocks on Mars Hill in Greece, I saw a little square block that marked the spot where the Apostle Paul stood, my brother, 2,000 years before me. When I saw that, I delivered the speech, and people from all over the world were visiting Mars Hill, the Acropolis, and all those, the Temple of Diana over there, all those ruins. It's all falling in, you know. Zeus is like this now on the ground. That's old Zeus. What's left of him? It's a picture of what happens when you allow men to determine your rights instead of God. Thomas Jefferson had it right. Our rights come from God. You allow men to step in and decide for you what your rights are going to be. Look out, because the slaughter's fixing to take place. Look at the Nazis. There was no Jesus with the Nazis, correct? What were they famous for? In a word, murder, right? Then the Shintoists came, unprovoked by us. No Jesus people among them. Zero. None. Nothing. Hirohito to them, their emperor, he was God. You say, how did that turn out for them? Look how many lives we lost. I've got uncles. My uncle, the one I'm named after, died when he took 5 steps on one of those beaches over there. A lot of blood spilled. You say, murder. That's what they started. That's 2. It's about 80 years of history. Then the communists came. Any Jesus with them? How many people did Stalin kill? How much murder? Add the Nazis, the Shintoists, the communists. You say, I see a pattern developing here. And then this latest crop, these Islamic fundamentalists. Any Jesus with them? What are they famous for? I see a definite pattern. That's what the documentary is about. Here's what you get when you do not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God. Romans chapter 1, since they did not think it worthy to retain the knowledge of God, he gave them over to a reprobate or depraved mind to do what ought not to be done. They've become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. I'm quoting. You say, they are full of murder. It's always there. Envy, strife, malice, deceit. They are slanderers, gossips, God haters, insolent, arrogant, boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They are heartless. They are senseless. They're faithless. They're ruthless. You say, my goodness, was that the way it was in the Roman Empire? It sounds like us. Don't forget God. Well, I would vote for old Trump, some say. 10% of the Republican Party. I'd vote for him if he were as conservative as I am. I've given you about a 5-minute warm-up since I've been standing here. If my litmus test said, well, I'm not voting for anybody, Phil Robinson's not voting for anyone that's not as conservative as he is, well, I would end up not voting for anyone but me. I'm the most conservative dude I know. You're like, huh? I bet everything through this Bible. Everything. You're like, whoo, whoo, whoo. I told the Nebraska delegation, they said, Phil, I'm doing every 15 or 20 minutes, I'm standing in front of the camera. The left wingers there after me trying to rope-a-dope me. So I'm watching them close, when they're interviewing me. Did you know that Hollywood hates you? I said, oh, surely not me. So they're trying to get at me, So I'm trying to be tactful, but quick on my feet. You got to watch them. So look, I'm going from that one, then I'm over to this one and this one and this one. So we walk in, and I said, where are we? Where you're at the Nebraska delegation. The governor of Nebraska is standing there, I'll walk in. Oh, Mr. Robinson, could you say a few words to the people at the National Republican Convention? I said, well, yeah, I'll say a few words to these corn huskers. It's good to meet you, Governor. One of the things I told them, why don't we just try out of the top 10, just a couple of them? Let's get together with the atheists and everybody, and let's just try 2 things God said. Let's try it for a year and see how it works. Just try it. Let's don't murder each other anymore, and let's don't steal from one another. Do you think we'd be better off if we just kept a couple of them? What do you think? So I heard somebody in the audience in Nebraska, I said, would we be better off if we didn't murder each other, if we didn't steal from one another, just a couple of them, to see if it'd work? They said, absolutely it would work. My compadres, my bodyguards, can you believe it? I actually have to have bodyguards. Because when I travel, when I'm at my house, no bodyguards needed. You talk about armed. Woo! But when I travel, all the laws we have again, yeah, I understand. Well, Donald Trump sticks his foot in his mouth too much. That's why I'm not voting for him. Really? First of all, read the Old Testament and see how many different people God worked through to accomplish his purpose. A lot of them. Give him time. Better a man who sticks his foot in his mouth every once in a while. I've done it myself. I know none of you have, but possible you might have at some point. Better a man who sticks his foot in his mouth every once in a while than a woman who pours out lies. So what I stand on is simple. You say, Phil, in a nutshell, you're down there under lock and key. I mean, you are